Good morning, lovely people. How are you all today? I hope you're well. Brrr, it got a little bit cooler today. The drizzle has stopped. Yay! I didn't mind it, to be honest, but yeah, it'll just make today's job a little bit easier to not actually be getting wet the whole time. And this little drop in temperature, I've got a fleece on for the first time since March. I was thinking about this, excuse me, as I was walking down here, how it's like nature knows when we've got to do the heavy work. So in sort of March and then in October, November, when all the kind of really physical stuff of digging, spreading compost, spreading muck, putting structures up, what have you, taking structures down, it seems to coincide with the cooler weather, which is great. So, although I've got my fleece on now, I'm sure it's going to come off very soon with what I've got to do today. So, I've kind of mentioned a couple of times in other videos about having a change of plan concerning my winter green manure. So I'm not going to be sowing any. I did do a video of it last year, so if you want to have a look, if you're sowing your own winter green manure, it's number 45. If you look at my channel, there's the different strands, there's the garden, the kitchen, the DIY stuff. Pardon me, if you go into the kitchen, if you go into the Vivi's Kitchen Garden strand and you go backwards and you find video number 45, that's this time last year, me sowing my field beans. Why am I not sowing them this year? Oh, I'm so cross about this. I'm so cross, but being cross, sorry, I've got a bit of a tickle, let me grab my water. Being cross doesn't get any of us anywhere, does it? So I'm momentarily cross and then I'm just going to leave it. Weeks and weeks and weeks ago, I ordered some Hungarian rye, which I've not tried before, but it's another one that can be sown for over the winter. So I thought, great, I'll get my Hungarian rye in, much as I've done in the past with my field beans, get to the spring, turn it in, brilliant, yay. And it got to about 2 weeks ago and it still hadn't arrived. I'd ordered something else at the same time, I can't remember what it was. The other thing came, I think it was something from my mum. The other thing came and in the dispatch note it said, the Hungarian rye will follow shortly. Anyway, as we're sort of going into October, that's when I started to have my panic of, I've been in summer mode too long, because actually I do need to get stuff out. I need to clear the beds because I need to get my tickle over, because I need to get my rye in, because you'd normally do it sort of any time from the end of September through October. So I thought, yeah, we're kind of heading for the middle of October. So I rang the company and at the same time as I was on the phone to them, I had my email up with my order, but I also brought up their catalogue online, because they do a paper catalogue and they're online. I could quite clearly see it there. Now, I'd had a similar issue 2 years ago with my field beans. Exactly the same thing happened. So I called the company and I said, what's happening with my Hungarian rye? I really need to get it in the next couple of days, And the company's obviously been bought out. Well, the company's been bought out, and the person I was speaking to, unlike 2 years before, obviously didn't have a clue about gardening. She basically said to me, we don't have any. And I was like, when were you going to let me know? Oh, we would have emailed you. And I explained, it needs to go in the ground now. And she said, well, the crops failed. She said, now I don't know if you understand this, but if the crops failed, that means we've got no seed. And I was thinking, yeah, I know what that means. You're talking to someone who grows their own food. So I said to her, well, okay, I'm really disappointed. By the way, it's still being advertised, the cats are about to start hissing. You're still advertising it on your website. You shouldn't advertise it. If you know the crops have failed and you have no seed stock, why are you advertising it? Because you're going to have other people like me ordering it, thinking, oh, I need to get that in this weekend, a couple of days for postage, what have you. I said, you need to take that down. And she just said, oh, it's not my department. Now, 2 years ago, when the company was really small still, before they'd been bought out, it happened with the field beans. And again, I was really cross that they didn't tell me and that I only found out because I made the phone call. Having said that, when I was on the phone to the lady a couple of years ago, she was really apologetic. And I said, you know, you've still got it advertised. And within seconds, the status on the online catalogue had changed to out of stock. So at least they clawed back a few points there, if you like. But anyway, yeah, on this occasion, this woman was she had no idea, and that's not her fault, it's her job. Her job is to answer the phone and deal with customer orders and customer complaints, I guess. But you would hope that within a business as specific as selling plants and seeds, that she would have some understanding. Anyway, you know what, it kind of slightly puts me off using the company anymore. I've used them in the past a lot. I've talked about them a lot in the past. You know, a few years ago when I started using them, they were a small company, they were an organic company. And now, to be honest, loads of stuff they're selling isn't organic. Anyway, so, sorry. I am not sowing wintergreen manure this year because I didn't get any. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to carry on working in bed number 2, which was the vine bed this year, so the horizontal squash tomatoes, where the broad beans went in a couple of days ago. So the plan today is, that's obviously covered with all sorts of membrane, cardboard, lumps of wood to hold things down from where the vines were. So I'm going to get all of that off today. Excuse me. Get all of that off. I probably have to give each of the beds a bit of a tickle, just because I know there have been times, like when I was harvesting and I was just walking across all of it, wasn't I? So it's going to need a bit of a tickle. And then I'm going to see how my 1-year-old leaves are doing. So the idea will be to put the leaves on, and I'm going to put more cardboard on just to hold everything in place. Hey, Poppy girl. Get everything held down so it doesn't all blow away. I don't have hugely high hopes for these leaves because it's been so hot and dry this summer. I think they'll just be all in the sacks looking as dead and dry, looking exactly like they looked last autumn. But that's what I've got to work with, so that's what I'm going to be working with. But then in the spring, so probably sometime in March, you are a beautiful girl, sometime in March, I'm going to have a go sowing buckwheat. I've not heard of it as using it as a manure before, but I was chatting with my friend who lives on the west coast of Canada, so that whole Pacific Northwest area, and she said that actually they use it quite a lot there. Now it's incredibly quick growing, apparently. So what I'm hoping is leave the leaves and any bits of compost that I'm putting on the beds this winter, get everything covered over, let it all scrudge down. And then if things have rotted down quite well, if I've got any bare patches, then come March I'll sow some buckwheat with the idea for any of the beds where I won't plant till May or even June. So that will be the vine bed, so tomatoes, squash, none of those things go out there until June. So it can be a nice bit of cover in the early spring, which I can then turn in to add even more to my soil. So, although I was a little bit cross about the wintergreen manure seeds not arriving, wasn't I, Poppy? I was a little bit cross about that. Actually, it's had to make me rethink, and I think this plan is going to be interesting to see how it works. I've never done it before, so you know what? let's give it a go. Necessity is the mother of invention. And now I have prattled on for long enough having my moan about the seed company. It's some hard work today, but by heck, I'm going to enjoy it and I'm going to warm up. So come on, let's get in the garden and do some physical stuff. So this is the area I'm going to tackle today, with a bit of help from Poppy by the looks of it. Now what I would say is, I know, look, if I take the plot as a whole, there's a lot of work to do, and if I looked at the whole lot in one go, it would be really quite daunting. And I know there's quite a few of you who've recently got your first plot for the first time. Yay! I'm so excited for you. And my advice is this: don't look at the whole plot and be daunted, because the thing about that is you will freeze. Just stand still and not know what on earth to do. So, like I'm going to do today, I've got a chunk of time, I'm going to do a chunk of work. I'm going to ignore the rest of the plot and just focus on this bed. And it may be, so the first thing I'll do obviously is get everything cleared, so I've got space to work. And it may be that I only get this first bed done today. That's fine. I will get something done, that's all that matters. So yeah, don't freeze with panic and not do anything. Get stuck in, do something. Come on, Poppy, give me a hand. Clear some space. Membrane, pretty tatty. It's like a sort of fabric, but I'm going to set it out somewhere in the sun today so that it'll hopefully dry, so I can pack it away, and then if I need it next spring, I've got it. Yeah, it might look tatty, but it also might just do a job next year. The sun's coming out and I'm already getting warm. How lovely. Oh, let's get that plant up too. Worked really well as a weed suppress, and what I can see now, there's one down there, really pale and pathetic looking. It was where a bindweed is trying to happen. So great, I can get my fork, dig down as far as possible. Bindweed roots go on forever and ever and ever and a day. I'll never be entirely rid of it here, but I'll just keep digging it out, weakening it, and just less and less each year. Yay! Okay, let's go and spread out this black cloth somewhere to dry. So these beds are already roughly where they're going to be. There shouldn't be too much work of rejigging, but I am going to
just mark out where the paths are, so that if my back is to that bed where I'm taking my lines from, if I get a bit disorientated, I've got my little markers still, so I'm not doing any unnecessary work. That's my new motto. No unnecessary work. The ground still feels really wonderfully moist after, oh yeah, that's pretty much bang on, after the rain of the weekend and then all that drizzle the other day. It's at that, actually someone was asking about this the other day. This is probably worth mentioning, that I would say the ground is moist, it's not wet, it's not sopping, soggy, heavy wet, which would just be a misery to work with, and I wouldn't. But it's definitely at the kind of perfect workable stage. Yep. And then I'll just repeat on the other side too. Oh, we'll have this whipped into shape in no time. Oh, famous last words. Oh, snappy. Right, let's do some digging. I'll use the path. All I'm doing for these beds, to get them ready for the leaf litter, I'm just giving them a really light forking in the middle. Oh, not bad. Along this edge, I think I've used this slightly as a path, so it is a bit compacted, so we'll uncompact it. But yeah, just a light forking just gives me a chance to extract any rubbish, stones, glass, plastic, always plastic. But actually you can see in the middle here, I'm hardly having to do a thing, because it did have a really good dig in the spring. I did take quite a lot of time over this bed last spring, and that looks like it's paid me dividends now. So yeah, like I say, this little edge bit by my toes, a little bit more compacted. I've obviously strayed from the path a bit, but thanks to the rain, it's not too big an effort. Getting me nice and warm. If you see my foot creeping onto the bed, I'm not putting my full weight in it, it's just a little bit of balance. Various bits and bobs of roots down that end from the beans in this bed, obviously from the squash, but they'll just all get turned in, stay in there, and add to the composting. Yay! There are some days when it would definitely be really quite canny to have a second pair of hands. Oy vey. Look, these big old sacks, and now they look like nothing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's have another one. Okay, so I filled 25 sacks last year. Soggy. 25 of these sacks last year. I think ideally each bed would get about 5 or 6 sacks. I don't have enough. I think all I'm going to have enough for is 3 sacks per bed for my new little beds. And I think even then there's going to be a couple which I don't have any for, so I'm just going to improvise, see what I can do. Just picking these up, I can feel that some of them are really light, really light. It doesn't look like they've gone down at all. Never mind, let's add them anyway. I'll give them all a good soak. The other thing is, last year I put all of these into black bin sacks, which they're going to get torn open and be good for nothing. So I don't want to be doing that in the future. What a waste of plastic. So what I look out for is, I know quite a lot of my neighbours use bought compost each year. You know, they come in those big, quite tough plastic sacks. So I'll ask my neighbours to keep their sacks for me to use for my leaf litter. The other idea is, where I've got my 2 compost bins at the moment, is to put a third one in, which means I'm going to lose a bit of growing space. Never mind. And use a third compost bin to keep them in, so that I never have this situation again of throwing away black plastic bin sacks. Right, let's go and open them and see what's happened in the space of 1 year. Just looking at the spacing again, I've decided I'm going to have to go for 4 bags of leaves for each bed. So they're slightly wider than a metre, they're 4 metres long, so 1 bag for each kind of square metre. So I'm going to have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. So it's just going to be these 2 beds, which means bed number 4, where my fennel, potatoes, etc. were. I'm not going to have anything to put there. Having said that though, the fennel's staying in for now. So, yeah, these look pretty. Let me give you a close-up so you can see what I'm seeing. Well, you can see it's certainly not what you would call compost. They have broken down a little bit, and I think, yeah, it's just shy of a year that they went in, so I reckon, like I said, the ground is moist, the leaves, these leaves are really moist. Oh, let's just do it, get it covered, another 6 months. Oh, these are really dry. I think I'll have to give them a watering, but hopefully if I get them really wet and they're under the cardboard, then hopefully they're going to help my soil a little bit. That's another quite dry bag. I think these were the ones on the top of the heap. Yeah. Let's see if this one's any better. Oh yeah, that one's better. So it seems the key to this is keep it good and wet. Right, crispy ones. Well, the good thing is my water pot is full to the brim, so I don't have to use any mains water, but I will give this all a good soak. Whoa, falling into, oh, that bed's soft. Yeah, give it a soak, get it covered, and then in 6 months' time, hopefully a little tickle. I'm not holding out much hope for these ones, they're so dry still, what a shame. Never mind, Onwards and upwards. Right, let's get some watering cans out. This is the part of the day when I have to hope that the wind holds off. Because otherwise we're going to go flying. Obviously I'll get them all down and then weighted. Let's be ergonomically sensible, Vivi. Of course, eventually the cardboard rots too, and that's fine, because it all ends up in the soil. I found over the years that the worms just seem to love this cardboard, so they can have as much as they would like in exchange for their work. Just remember before putting your cardboard down to take off all the sort of sellotape, sticky labels, that sort of thing. Right, let's go and get some lengths of wood, bricks, anything. Great stuff. Yeah, let's do that now. Well, it might not look much, and I'm sure it doesn't look like 2.5 hours of work, but it is, and I'm chuffed to get that done. Just these 2 beds today. Yay! Night night, sleep tight. Next is one of the old tomato beds. It's got the compost on, which I'm going to give another soaking and get that covered. But I need to go home and get some more cardboard. I thought I'd brought more down with me, but I haven't. But I've got a massive stack at home, so I shall bring that. And the sun came out. Look, it's such a beautiful afternoon, my goodness me. So now that I've done some hard work, look, it wasn't that hard, it just needed doing. But now I've done that, I'm going to do some much more gentle jobs, including giving my beautiful rose bush a bit of a prune, well, a dead head, keep it in flower a bit longer, and maybe some dead heading in the herb bed, maybe, because the tansy and the feverfew do not know when to stop. But look at this colour and brightness and gorgeous light today. I mean, who would have imagined this for, well, getting on for the end of October. And there's me in my fleece and hoodie this morning. I think that deck chair's calling me. Yeah, time for a sit down. Wow, what another glorious session. I'm just sitting here in some dappled shade. Can you see me, mother? Really, really another lovely session. Again, just another sort of 3.5, 4 hours down here. 2.5 hours, hard work, get it done. The rest of the time just pottering and making the most of this. So lucky. So I don't really have to do much more in that bed now. Get the tomato beds covered with cardboard. I'm going to wet that compost again before I do. And then it's time to move into the cathedral bed, which will take a bit more work because all those mud paths, dirt paths have to be dug out. No hurry. I'm going to literally probably like today, try and get 2 beds done a day. Glare on my glasses. Yeah, try and get a couple of beds done each time I come down here, and just over the course of the next week or so, hopefully get that whole bed dug out, leaf moulded, cardboarded. It's great, what a great time of year. In the process of doing that, I'm going to have to remove some of the beetroot and some of the chard. And I just saw my lovely neighbour Sheena. She was down picking some lunch for herself, so I've given her the first lot of beetroot and chard for her to take away today. And as I get on with it next week, whoever's around will get some beetroot and chard from me. Yay! So for now, oh, that breeze is lovely. I'm going to say cheerio to you all. There you are. I'm going to say cheerio. I hope you're all having fun and joy, whatever you're getting up to, whether it's in the garden or indoors. And hopefully I'll see you again before too long. But in the meantime, stay well, stay snug. Those of you who've got snow already, take care.